Now at 6, this is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Well, in some school districts around the state, the start of the new academic year has included a few non-academic distractions. Good evening and thanks for joining us for the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Brent Harden.
And I'm Bridget Bjorlo. Today alone, several schools on lockdown, all because of threats.
Fox 61's Matt Karen went to Wethersfield, where today's threat was quickly investigated.
6:45 a.m. as students are getting ready to head to the bus stop. One of them sees a post on TikTok identifying Emerson Elementary as a target. That student shared it around. It was seen by a grandparent who ultimately alerted district officials, who in turn called the police.
The student that sent it had shared it with several students, and that started the wildfire.
This is the post.
This actually was a list that was on TikTok that was doctored. We determined that the school in question is actually down in Georgia.
Emerson Elementary in Emerson, Georgia. The Wethersfield police called them. They were aware of the list and said several juveniles were arrested in connection to that post. Wethersfield Superintendent Michael Emmett used the district's parent communication app to provide multiple updates.
And it's very difficult to deal with the crisis situation when you're dealing with a lot of erroneous information. And I think that for us is incumbent upon why we need to make sure that we're communicating out as quickly and accurately as we possibly can.
Wethersfield is one of the most recent in a series of Connecticut districts facing threats of violence, usually discovered on social media.
These kids are addicted to TikTok and all the other ones. I don't even know what they are anymore. But yeah, it's all over. There's no getting away from it. My daughter is in the Glastonbury school system, and recently there was a boy who was thrown out of school for some terrible racial slurs online.
In Windsor, the superintendent there recently took full responsibility for a lack of timely communication that left parents in the dark about a lockdown. While in Meriden, a student at Edison Middle School was arrested and charged for a threat via Snapchat.
It takes you away from the work that you're doing.
The head of Connecticut's Superintendents Association told Fox 61, despite the fact the majority of threats turn out not to be credible, you must follow up on every one and lean on a collaboration with law enforcement.
We have our own Sandy Hook, so we are not immune to this at all. When there was a threat, or bomb threat, whatever, I met with the police chief immediately, and they took over. I followed their protocols.
Back here in Wethersfield, they routinely conduct threat training. The middle and high schools have school resource officers. As for the elementary schools, their windows and doors were updated to be more secure, but the buildings themselves are old. The superintendent says they need to be updated in order to brought up to modern day security standards. Reporting in Wethersfield, Matt Karen, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Matt, thank you. Savin Rock School in West Haven, North Haven High School, and North Haven Middle School were all placed on lockdown for some time today as well because of a potential threat. Police responded but say no credible threats were discovered. Let's get a check on our forecast now. Another nice day out there. Will the streak last?
Yeah, Chief Meteorologist Rachel Frank joining us now. Rachel, it is a nice streak.
Yeah, we're going to see more sunshine in the days ahead. We've got these comfortable mornings to look forward to, and then warmer afternoons. In fact, so warm later this week, especially Friday into this weekend. Summer is making a full-on comeback with highs in the 80s this weekend. You could go to a fair or festival, or you could lounge by a pool. 76 degrees in Hartford. We're looking at temperatures that are also in the mid-70s for the New Haven area. I don't need time to show you how sunny it is. You can see that outside of your window, and we've got more of that in the days ahead. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. As I mentioned before, things are quiet, not just for us, but for so many across the country. Low temperatures tonight falling back around 50 degrees, low to mid 50s for the Connecticut shoreline, and a nice rebound as we head through tomorrow afternoon. Near 80 in Derby. We're looking at upper 70s in Branford, Southington, up around the 80-degree mark, mid 70s along the southeast shoreline, and we're looking at near 80 for Burlington. Although it is quiet around here, we are continuing to track Hurricane Francine. We'll have more on the latest of this Category 2 storm that is just about to make landfall in Louisiana coming up.
All right, Rachel, thank you. Well, new tonight, an employee in the Rams School District has been fired for allegedly misusing funds. The district superintendent said in a letter that an investigation found the employee was buying personal items with funds meant for school supplies. No word on what position that employee held or if they are facing any charges.
A Yale police lieutenant facing an assault charge tonight after court papers say his wife was found with injuries near a Stratford liquor store.
Fox 61's Julia LeBlanc spoke with witnesses who made the call to police.
A week ago, Stratford police arrested 58-year-old Roosevelt Martinez, charging the Yale police lieutenant with assault. Now we are hearing from a woman who says she's one of the first people to call police when she noticed his wife walking around in public badly injured.
It's terrible. I think it's terrible.
A Stratford woman named Diane sitting down with us, not wanting to show her face on camera. Diane says last Wednesday she heard arguing outside her Barnum Ave apartment, recognizing the woman involved. But when she got downstairs and saw her up close,
I was just devastated. When I saw that, my heart dropped to my stomach.
Diane says the woman's face was badly injured and she was walking funny. So she and the nearby liquor store clerk called police.
Well, that's what people are supposed to do. If you see something, say something.
Fox 61 now obtaining this arrest warrant, which states the woman appeared to be under the influence of alcohol, but was able to answer questions from police and EMS. It says the woman first told investigators she fell on the sink in the bathroom. The document says she later told hospital staff she may have been hit by a hammer or golf club. The victim eventually saying it was her husband, stating, quote, "He's a good guy, he's a cop." Also revealing it's happened before.
Any woman getting beat up by a man is terrible. But when you learn that it's an officer, someone who's trying to or supposed to be protecting people, it's terrible. It's just terrible.
Stratford officers later arresting and charging 58-year-old Roosevelt Martinez with assault, a Yale police lieutenant. Yale University confirming to Fox 61 Martinez is now placed on paid administrative leave. As this all plays out in court, Diane is grateful she and her neighbors knew to step in.
And it's not the fact that I knew her, that I knew who she was. If it was a total stranger, I would have done the same thing. Because I would hope that somebody would do that for me.
Now, Martinez does have a court date next month in Bridgeport. We did reach out to Stratford Police and Yale Police, but were referred back to the university, which wasn't willing to confirm anything else for us. We are in Stratford. Julia LeBlanc, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump made a rare appearance together today at a ceremony to mark 23 years since the 9/11 terror attacks. Biden stood side by side with Vice President Kamala Harris, Trump and his running mate, Senator J.D. Vance, at Ground Zero. Afterward, Biden and Harris traveled to Shanksville, Pennsylvania to participate in a wreath-laying ceremony at the Flight 93 Memorial. Trump headed to Pennsylvania as well.
Nearly 3,000 innocent people were killed on 9/11, including 161 with ties to Connecticut. For so many first responders who answered the call, they weren't thinking about themselves. They were focused on helping others and saving lives. And many developed long-term health issues from their time at Ground Zero. 23 years after hijacked planes brought down the Twin Towers in New York City, retired Naugatuck Fire Captain Richard Alves remembers it like yesterday.
I was home the time I lived in Prospect, and my pager went off, and it said that we had to respond immediately that something happened in New York City. I turned on the television, and I saw it, and I loaded my equipment up in the car, and I left.
Hours after the attack, he responded to Lower Manhattan's Ground Zero, where the World Trade Center buildings once stood, as part of a task force with the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Everything was gray. It looked like the movie Batman. looked like Gotham.
Their mission to search for survivors, with about 3,000 people missing. But his team found no one alive.
Frustration of not finding anybody, alive. Nobody to rescue.
Former Beacon Hose Company Fire Chief Doug Bousquet and Captain Jeremy Rodrigo were also at Ground Zero, but for a different reason.
I said, I have to go. I'm the chief and we're going. And we wanted to help any way we could.
They loaded up an ambulance with the first batch of supplies for search and rescue crews and drove it down to New York City.
Driving through the concrete dust, seeing pictures of families, shoes, pocketbooks, everything was on the ground.
There was ankle deep of dust. It looked like what you imagine the surface of the moon or Mars would look like.
Handing out masks, socks, even snacks to crews on the front line.
They were covered in dirt, but they weren't stopping. They were covered in all of this mess. And before they had masks, they were breathing it all in for, hours and hours and hours. And they were just in a sense of shock. I think a state of shock, but also determination. They were determined to get everyone out of there, whether it be civilians or firefighters or other rescue workers that were trapped in there. They were determined to stay at it until they found who they needed to find.
More than 2 decades later, Alfs is trying to move forward, but his health locks him in the past.
I've got some particulate stuff from concrete in my lungs. It's called silicosis. The beginning stages of that.
Like thousands of other 9/11 first responders, he battles long-term medical issues from the toxic dust he breathed in at the search site. A price he paid for his country, and one he would pay again.
Despite everything, yeah, I'd still do it again. It's what we do. It's what we do.
According to the CDC, close to 7,000 people have died from World Trade Center-related cancer or illness. That's more than twice the number of people killed on 9/11. At the FDNY alone, the department reports more than 360 members have passed away due to their exposure at Ground Zero. And Brent, we now know that they were breathing in asbestos, lead, other toxic materials. So it's just one of the many reasons we can never forget.
Yeah, when we talk about the illnesses, but people have been suffering with the grief. They've been dealing with the grief.
Sure.
And I interviewed a gentleman a couple of years ago, it was actually on the 20th anniversary, who said for him what's been building all these years since was the anger. So people still dealing with anger as well. So yeah, I mean, that's people dealing with the after effects of that attack for decades and still more, undoubtedly.
Absolutely.